Good afternoon, everybody. This is Matthew Montoya with Constant Contact. Welcome to our webinar today, Selling to the Sold, why it's easier to sell to a past customer than recruit a new one, and how to do it. Now, this is a Constant Contact Academy webinar, and do know I am recording this webinar and will send you links in about 24 hours. A little bit about your presenters today. So my name is Matthew Montoya, and I'm the Regional Training Development Specialist for the Southeast for Constant Contact. All you really need to know about me is that I travel all over the South teaching Constant Contact customers how to make more money out of their email. In my time at Constant Contact, I've been there for 5 years. I've taught over 7,000 small businesses in 46 states. But I am not in any means the star of our show today. So I have sitting next to me Eric Thompson, who is Vice President of SCORE for the Southeast region. Now, Eric has worked internationally for FMCG companies. That's fast-moving
Consumer goods.
Consumer goods. He told me it earlier and I forgot. For Unilever and Johnson & Johnson. For 10 years, he's had his own business developing leadership in Europe. He joined SCORE about 6 years ago and was chapter chair for the Fort Lauderdale Chamber, and now he is the vice president for the Southeast. Now, we are very fortunate today that the office that we're holding this webinar allowed us to come in and kind of bum rush their day. So we're presenting this webinar from the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach County, and I'm fortunate enough to have Executive Director Maria here, and she'd like to say hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Matthew stated, I am Maria Antuna, the Executive Director for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. A little bit about us. We're a few months shy of 20 years old, so we're very excited on our upcoming 20-year anniversary. The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach is the gateway to connecting and growing business to the Hispanic community. How we do that is that we assist businesses in reaching the growing Hispanic market in Palm Beach County. At the same time, we are providing network opportunity between the Hispanic business owners and ourselves. The Chamber and we're supporting the educational activities. We work closely with the Hispanic community in support of advancement, education, and economic growth of the Hispanic community in general. The direction for our 2016 is, of course, to build up and continue building and growing our chamber with the Hispanic community. I invite you to please visit our website at www.hispanicchamberpbc.com. Thank you so much, and I look forward to this presentation.
Thank you so much for having us, Maria. It was very nice of you to have us in your office, and great job. Thank you very much. So about this webinar will end officially at 3 o'clock. Now, I say officially, we're going to end the discussion and the presentation part at 3 o'clock, then we'll open it for Q&A. For those of you that have attended my webinars, this webinar is almost all, if not all, on slides. As I said, the slides and the video will be hitting your inbox in about 24 hours via email. So here's what we're going to discuss today. So first, we're going to talk to Eric about SCORE and why you, as small business folks, should probably reach out to your local SCORE chapter for helping grow your business. Then we're going to discuss how to sell to the sold. Eric's going to share his years of experience and his philosophy on how we reach people who have already done business with you. Then I am going to pivot and jump on to what Eric said about how we sell to the sold in an email. I'll give you one hint. You don't sell to the sold in an email. Then we're going to briefly tell you about some live events that we have coming up and then open it up to the floor for Q&A. So Eric, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Great to be here, Matthew. Great to be here.
And so I'm assuming that many of the folks on our call today would be aware of SCORE, but perhaps they're not. Can you tell us a little bit more about SCORE?
Well, we're a national organization, and really we only do two things. We help people start a business, or we help people grow a business. That's it, in a nutshell.
Pretty straightforward.
Yes.
And roughly how many small businesses do you coach and mentor in a given year or so?
Thousands and tens of thousands every year. We have over 300 chapters across the country. I look after 70 of those in the Southeast, from West Virginia down to Miami and across to Alabama.
So everybody on this call would be in your region, because this call is only for folks in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So there's likely a SCORE chapter right there in their town, right?
I'm sure there will be. I'm sure that if not, we better find out why not.
Pretty close to you. So I've broken this webinar up into a series of questions for you based on your experience helping small business. And my first question is, what is SCORE's position on new business development versus repeat business? What should a small business be focusing their attention more on, less on? My experience, I've been working with small business for 15 years. My experience is that a lot of small business people tend to put many of their eggs into business development, trying to get those leads, trying to close that brand new business, and they basically, once they sell them, ignore the people they've sold. What is your point of view on that?
Hate to use the word, it depends. Depends what state their business is in. If it's a brand new business, then they should be going for getting new clients, right? If it's a stable business, maybe 2 to 3 years old, where you have probably 70 to 80% of your business done by 20% of your clients. Don't ever lose one of those clients. Those clients are your most profitable clients, right? Those clients are the clients that if they walk away, they're walking away for a reason which they will probably tell other people about.
And I want to briefly stop on that for a moment, because when you've sold a client and they've become now a customer, they do have a lot of power to spread the word either positively or negatively. And so a small business that isn't paying attention to their current customers, if they're spending a tremendous amount of time focused on growing that new business and not cultivating the customer service and all of the pieces that retain a customer, well, that customer can now go out and spread the word either positively or negatively. And if we think about it, if 80% of our business is coming from that 20% of our customers, if that 80% is empowered to share the word positively, we're now growing our business in a very efficient way rather than just spending a lot of time growing business from people that never heard of us.
Just think about the numbers. The numbers that you have, the 20% of people who are doing business with you regularly. If they're doing business with you regularly, they trust you, they trust your product, they will talk about it to their colleagues, to their friends, to their co-businesses, right? The strongest advertising that you can get is word of mouth.
Absolutely.
If you can get them doing word of mouth for you, great. But remember, you've got to give them something worthwhile to talk about.
And that leads me perfectly into constant contacts philosophy, because several of the tools we can use for word of mouth certainly is word of mouth, having people literally talk to each other. But in this day and age, word of mouth also takes place on a cell phone. Word of mouth also takes place in social media, and word of mouth also takes place in email. So that leads me to my second question. How much time or energy should a small business put into engagement of previous customers?
What a question.
Again, depends probably.
Again, it depends. I suppose what we should really consider is how much am I dependent on my existing customers? Not just existing customers, but how many of those existing customers make up what percentage of my business? I have seen businesses where 1 or 2 customers, right, made up 80% of the client's business. Dangerous, right? Dangerous. It happened to one client where they were making jeans for a large department store. Large department store called them in on a Friday and said, sorry, we've got better prices. Hey, goodbye.
Mm.
Their business closed over the weekend, never to open again. So existing customers are more than precious, right? And you've really got to treat them and understand them, not just keep reminding them how nice your products are.
And I like that you said that. I'm going to call back to that, because folks, when we talk about those precious customers of ours, for those of you, and I'm assuming most of you use Constant Contact, we're talking about your list. And your list of email addresses is gold. You're sitting on gold, and you must treat that gold like the precious commodity it is. And if all you do is sell in an email, if all you do is sell in social media, you're throwing the gold away. And we're going to learn why in just a bit. So the third question, what are some things a small business can do to increase repeat business from existing customers?
Well, think about the experts in getting repeat business. The airlines, the hotels, right? And what you have, right, is that they will give their existing customers, their good customers who keep coming back, right, all sorts of incentives, right, all sorts of double mileage points, right, all sorts of free upgrades, right. Those are the sort of things, right, that we should be thinking about. One of the things which I almost hesitate to say, don't cut your prices to them. If you're going to give something, give product or give better services. Giving product, you're only giving away the cost of goods. Giving price, you're giving cost of goods and profit.
And you're bleeding your most profitable cost center.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I like the fact that you brought up the hotels and restaurants because, sometimes when it comes to pleasing repeat business, it can be the simple things. I travel for a living, and I did some business at a hotel. I rented a conference room, and typical, I got what I expected to get, good customer service, the room. I got home and I had a handwritten thank you note. And sometimes it's the little things. I actually wrote the company back, and I will absolutely do repeat business at that hotel because they went the extra mile, recognized my business. It's the little things sometimes, folks. And we can do that in an email. So question number 4. What are some pitfalls a small business can encounter when going after repeat business? So we talked a little bit about how price and discounts can backfire and we're bleeding our profit center. What are some other things a small business can encounter as a pitfall?
Well, I think you probably touched on it. It is trying to pressure sell your existing customers. What they know how to hit the delete button. And pressuring them with offers, pressuring them to buy more. They will buy more at their own pace. One of the things we've got to be careful about is something which in marketing we call the purchase cycle. Now, the purchase cycle for a refrigerator, right, is you buy one every 10 years. The purchase price for a box of diapers, right, is once a month. And there's also certain loyalties there. So we've got to be careful, right, that what we're doing is making sure that we are reassuring them so that the next time they buy, they feel that they're buying the right thing.
We need to prove our expertise to them rather than prove price and product which they've already bought.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the next question, what are some resources that SCORE can provide established small businesses in regards to engaging that previous business? So we talked about the various chapters. What are some things that folks on the call can do with their local chapter to help engage previous customers?
Well, probably the first thing they can do is go to the local chapter website or go to score.org, which is our national website. And when you put in your details at the national website, you'll put in a zip code, and that can direct you to your closest chapter. Most of our chapters will offer mentoring, and mentoring from people who've done it, not who've just read about it, but who've done it, who have built businesses, who have worked in businesses, right? And most of them, more and more so, are currently in business to get their advice. And it may be that you'll have more than one mentor. Maybe 2 or 3 mentors will work with you to help you either start or grow your business.
That's unbelievable that kind of support exists.
And it's all free.
I'm just let that one sit there, folks. Free. So my final set of questions for you, Eric, before I turn things into how we engage our audience in an email, since Constant Contact, after all, is an email company. How can small businesses be aware of the importance of saying thank you? We touched on that a little bit with the hotel sending me a thank you card. How important is that thank you?
It's not just important in an email, it's important in face-to-face. It's important in anything that we do with cyber mentoring. Thank you, right, has so much weight to it that if it's not there, right, it's taken almost as an insult. So I had some experience in Scotland, for example. People in business there were very reluctant to say thank you.
Really?
And they were also reluctant to give praise. And it's part of the culture. What we asked them to do was to say, I want you to say 3 thank yous today. 2 months later, we found that almost the culture and the attitudes had changed in the company. So I can't emphasize enough, right? Thank you, but thank you with sincerity.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Too many thank yous, right? Smack of, it's just repetition,
right?
And I'm just saying it for the sake of saying it.
Well, and I'm going to come back to that hotel thank you, because I've gotten plenty of email thank yous. I get thank yous in social media, but to have a handwritten card by the account executive showed thought and purpose, and it took them maybe a minute, and that minute turned into thousands of dollars in expenditure over the next year with me. And it was just a moment's consideration. Thank you can go a long way to helping your business grow. Now, what's a way a small business can minimize buyer's remorse?
Follow up. First thing, follow up. They must follow up. The automobile companies are becoming more and more conscious of this, right? Because, when you go and buy a new automobile, right, you buy it from one person, then you shunt it along to somebody else to fill in papers, then somebody else to do the finance, right? And in many cases, you never see the person that in fact sold you the car. So what they're doing now, right, is that the salesperson follows up and always follows up with a phone call saying, hey, anything I can do to help.
And you talk about the follow-up. One of the things that I teach in my class is how to take people who have interacted with an email, and let's say that they click on this particular product or avenue of the business. Constant Contact gives these small businesses a way to capture that information, save it, and send follow-up almost immediately. So if somebody clicks on an event or clicks on a product or clicks on a service, we empower small business through Constant Contact to immediately craft email, target that group, and send follow-up. So utilizing tools that you're already paying for, like Constant Contact, or utilizing tools like social media and other things that you might market at, can empower a small business to do follow-up. There's really no excuse for not following up almost immediately after purchase, is there?
Especially when, and these are numbers from Bain & Co., client retention, if you increase client retention by 5%, it raises profits by 75%.
So I'm going to repeat that. By increasing retention by 5%,
right,
it increases profitability by 75%. We're talking low-hanging fruit here then, aren't we?
Well, and not just low-hanging fruit, but easy to pick.
As long as we don't throw that piece of fruit in the garbage to begin with, which is going to be what my presentation's on. And is there one more tip about how small business can use feedback easy and meaningful?
One of the things we must be careful about, right, is using feedback for our own use. And that's very easy. And you still get a lot of them saying, please fill in the survey. Every time I take a flight somewhere, I get a survey, right? And I go click, 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 right? That is not follow-up, right? That is, I want information for
Me.
my company.
Yeah.
It's for me. The follow-up is come and have a cup of coffee with us next time you're in the area, right? Or something where there is no nuisance value to it.
Just giving them something useful.
Absolutely.
And I like that way that Eric said that, because that pivots perfectly into what I'm going to talk about, which is with Eric's insight. That number is staring at me right now. He's circled it. Increasing your retention by 5% can increase your business by 75%. That's really what I could call my part of this presentation. In my live classes, I teach an 8-hour class, and I always call the part of class where I'm talking about content as I'm getting on the preacher's, getting in my preacher mode, because I feel like I have to preach to small business because, well, let me go ahead and just show you the slide. I've been doing this for 5 years, talking to small businesses all over the country, 7,000 small businesses, 5 years. And here's what you folks, many of small business, many of your peers are sending. And this middle one is number one with a bullet. Promotion, 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 promotion. I run into more small business who use email marketing and social media marketing to promote than anything else. And that's a very natural behavior. They have this list. The list spent money with them. I should probably get my price and my product in front of them with maybe a discount so that they come back. The problem is that there's a similarity in promoting in that way. And the similarity is you're likely sharing information that you want to share rather than what the customer needs. Falling right into what Eric said about the survey. I'm asking you for a survey for my good, not for yours. Well, if you do nothing but sell product and price and service, especially with a discount in an email, you're just giving them what you think they want, maybe not necessarily what they need to be successful, or how to use your product better, or how to become a more informed buyer. When you receive an email like that, and I know all of us do, when you get an email that's just full of price, product, price, product, price, product, and you've already bought from that company, odds are you're probably not in the mood to buy the moment you get that email. So if I go shopping at a car repair place, and then 1 week later, I get an email with car repair discounts, not only am I unlikely to use that email, I'm now a little annoyed that I paid a higher cost. But even if it's 6 months down the road, I still may not be in the market to buy auto repairs. We have to watch out for constantly selling in an email. The reason for that, the average small business only sees about 3% conversion in an email, meaning only about 3% of your audience is going to see that email and spend money with you right that second. And if all you do is sell in an email, you're alienating 97% of that business. And we talk about the gold that Eric shared with us a moment ago, that retention rate, we're basically throwing that away. So our goal is to make our email as much about them as we can. And what I'm talking about is tips, tricks, education, education, education. I'm sounding like a broken record. Education. The reason we do that is when you educate your audience, when you give them useful things in an email, you build trust that your email's useful. And that's critical. It makes them look forward to the email. It makes them act on it. And even more critically, if these are people that spent money with you and you're giving them useful information, they're far more inclined to share that information and promote your business and help that business grow. How we do that? Well, it's something pretty old in business. It's the 80-20 rule. Most business people know that 80% of their business comes from 20% of their contacts. Well, the idea here is that 80% of our email marketing is engaging. Most of your email should be dedicated to informing the audience. Only 20% should be focused on promoting. Now, you need to have the 20% because no matter where people are in that sales cycle that Eric talked about before, you get them. If they're in the market right now, you get them because you have the promotion. But if it takes 6 months or a year for them to buy with you again, well, you've been holding them through your engagement, and then when they see the promotion, they're ready to act. So what I'd like to do is walk you through some tips we've developed to engage your audience and resell the sold. The idea here is this is a long pitch. If all you do is promote in every single email, you're short pitching and you're alienating 97% of your audience. So here are some ideas to engage your audience in that 80% part of your email. First is informing. Now I have this one first because informing is what most small business do. They're very used to informing. We're used to informing them about product and price. I'm flipping it over and using inform to educate. And the first bullet point here is how-tos. People love step-by-step instructions on how to do something. So if I were a landscaper, I might give people how-tos on how to maintain certain kinds of shrubbery or certain kind of trees or certain kind of rock formations that are in my yard. If I am a restaurant, I'm going to give how-tos on how to keep my kitchen prepared and what kind of cutlery to look for, and use my industry expertise to educate my audience. Another great example here is a guide. A guide is where you take your years of experience, put it together in a Word document, turn it into a PDF, and have people download the guide so that they can be more informed. Inspiration. Inspiration is a really funny one. Inspiration is all about humanizing your email marketing. Now, humanizing is actually a very strange thing. I know that we have some folks on the call that might be in the business-to-business environment. And generally, business-to-business is usually very buttoned down and very straightforward. And you might wonder yourself, well, why do I need to humanize my email? Because we're selling to humans. You sell to humans, and you need to add a dose of humanity, a fantastic dose of humanity. We talk about low-hanging fruit, pictures of human beings. Include images of human beings in your email. If you humanize your email, you make it more relatable, and more likely people will imagine themselves shopping at your store, buying your product, using your service. Include a picture of a human using your product, and you'll increase your sales. Video. There is nothing more that gets clicked on in an email than a video. And if you give a video tutorial or a video how-to or a video interview with some expert in your field, you'll be selling your business because video is the most clicked on thing in an email. Storytelling. If any of your businesses have ever heard a good story come across your desk about how your business empowered somebody or changed somebody's lives or saved them some value, tell that story in an email. Storytelling is the oldest form of human communication, and it's a very powerful form of communication because it sticks. I can't believe I fumbled over the word communication. How ironic. And then involve. Involving is involving your customers in your marketing. Have them write for you. If they're an expert, so we're looking at a B2B environment. If they're an expert in their field, have them write about their area of expertise, perhaps talking about how they incorporated your product. If it's a B2B, if it's a B2C, a business to customer, have that customer write about their area of expertise, even if it doesn't relate directly to your area of expertise. If I were a small business retail and I had a customer who was very good at, say, social media marketing, perhaps I might tap them and have them write about social media marketing to my customers. It might be interesting to them. Remember, we're trying to pull back from selling. We're constantly trying to inform our audience and educate them and enlighten them. Voting. I cannot stress the importance of giving people a voice. Give people a voice in your email. This thing or that thing. This way or that way. 2 big reasons why you want to teach people to vote. 1, if you ask for people's opinion, people love to give their opinion. And you can use that opinion as long as you share the results to make better email. But most importantly, when you give people a vote, when you give them 2 different things to click on in an email, you're teaching your audience to look forward to your email, open your email, and click on things in your email. And later, when they're ready to buy and suddenly you have that product in there that they can come buy, you've already taught them to open and click on things. But most strategically, you want to give people a vote so that you can gather information about them. So if I say, would you like to have our event in West Palm Beach, or would you like to have our event in Miami? By clicking on those things, I now have a list of people that want an event in West Palm Beach, and I have a list in Constant Contact of people that want to have the event in Miami. And just like that, I have now segmented my audience and now know a little more information about them. Highlight your staff in an email. When you highlight your staff in an email, you give your company a human face. It literally puts a face to your staff, makes your staff feel great, and your audience now relates more to you. Lastly, a little strangely, support small charities, small local charities in your email. One, small nonprofits do need your support in your community, but mostly from a savvy marketing point of view, by supporting a charity in your email, you add a dose of humanity to your email, and you make your clients, your people that have already bought, you make them realize you're not just after their money. And that's critical because we're trying to build a relationship with these people and remind them of how valuable they are to us. To close on what Eric said, if all we do is sell them, if all we do is hit them over the head after they've bought us, we could be losing up to potential of 75% increase in our bottom line. We can't keep throwing that money away, folks. So if you'd like to learn more, there's two outlets I'm going to share with you to learn more. First, me. I am a marketer after all. I'd love to see you in one of my live classes. So this week I'm in Charleston and Wilmington, South Carolina, and North Carolina. Then I'm finishing up the year in Florida. I'm going to be in Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach beginning of the month, and then Pensacola and Mobile, Alabama towards the middle of the month. I'd love to see you, and I'm going to include a 15% discount just as a thank you for you coming to my webinar today. This is an 8-hour hands-on course. A good portion of that class is literally what I just talked about. We actually practice some of these things, talk about how to sell to the sold. If all you do is sell in an email, you're throwing away 97% of your audience. Another resource would be SCORE. So Eric, could you remind folks on where they can find a little more information on SCORE?
Certainly, Matthew. First thing, go to the SCORE website, a very simple, score.org. And whatever you would like is there at your clicking fingertips. Mentoring, your area probably has a slew of workshops on various topics on helping your business or starting your business. But again, score.org is where to go first.
And how much does that cost again, Eric, for the mentoring?
The mentoring is free.
Can't beat that, folks. All right, so we are going to officially let people go. So if you need to get back to work, we know we have a lot of business people on the call. We're going to officially end the teaching part of the webinar and open it to Q&A. Do know I'm recording this webinar. I'm sending the Q&A and the entire presentation to everybody within 24 hours. If you'd like to ask a question, just look into the question field, and let's see what questions you have for any of us. Well, you like to have that kind of question. Thanks, Matthew. Enjoyed it. We'll stay here. We got another one here. Starting to roll in. The best practice suggestions on engaging past or canceled. All right, that's a great question. I believe that what Marissa's asking is, do you have any suggestions, Eric, on engaging people that maybe have been a customer a long time ago, or maybe even have stopped service, they've canceled their agreements, they've canceled their business? How do we get people back?
Well, that's remember one thing, that they know you. If you haven't alienated them so badly that they've gone and locked into to another business, then no harm at all in asking them to come back. I wouldn't go with the incentives early on. I just ask, can we talk again?
And if I can jump in on that too, Marissa, one thing, and Eric might agree or disagree with me, is perhaps if it's a person that canceled, or if it's a person that's spent a long time ago, instead of email marketing to them, instead of social media marketing to them, pick up the phone, visit their location. That kind of interaction is going to see far more engagement than a ready-made email just going out, because we're kind of treating their former business like just any business. It might take a human touch, no?
Very much so, and I think that's a great suggestion. The worst thing you can do is to send out a bulk email
when it's trying to get somebody who's lost.
Yeah.
And if in that spirit, one thing that you can look at in Constant Contact is you can look and see how many times an individual has interacted with your email. You can actually see how long it's been since they've opened, how long it's been since they've clicked on something. And, if you get in there and you see that these people have not opened or clicked your email in 6 months or a year, odds are that you've lost them. They're just ignoring you. You've gone into the white noise. They're not paying attention anymore. And rather than just emailing them some more, you might want to identify those people for a handwritten note or a phone call.
if there is a potential of them being a good and loyal customer.
Well, let's go down that route for a moment, because I see a question that's talking about, where do we cut people off? When does that stop?
You mean cut them off our email list?
When do we cut them off from engagement? They haven't done business with us in X amount of time. Is there a point where the effort overtakes the reward? Or that's a
differs. Rhetorical question.
It differs from people to people. Yeah. Is there a standards follow-up for how much time do we wait till we follow up? Matthew's asking, does it depend on the service, on the transaction? So when they do some business with us, what is the general expectations for follow-up?
Certainly before the next purchase cycle.
So whatever their cycle is. So if the typical business cycle is once a month, we'd want to make sure we hit them with a follow-up.
Before they have to purchase again.
Unless you're in the diaper industry, in which case you're probably...
That's what they call a low entropy market.
I knew there was going to be a bad joke in there somewhere. Is there an easy way in Constant Contact to see all the contacts who haven't opened our emails? So, Cappy, yes, there is. We actually give you a report called the Did Not Open Report. And within each email, you can see who has not opened your email. And if you come to my class, I'll teach you how to actually capture that information over time and actually either re-engage your audience or just delete those contacts. It's a little complicated, but any of you on this call can actually go into your email today, look at the Did Not Open report in your reports, and see who didn't open that last email. Now, do know, if somebody didn't open just that last email, it doesn't mean they're not interested. It just means they might have been on vacation. They might have been away. You didn't get them that time. A good rule of thumb is it takes about 4 emails to reach your entire audience that's interested. So if your email cycle is 1 email a week, it's going to take you a month to really see who's engaged or not engaged. Not everybody's going to open every email, but your engaged customers are going to open up 1 out of 4. You're very welcome, Matthew. And with that, I think that looks like that's we got one last one. Okay, so Cappy, we're going to give you the last question for the day since we're at 3:40. What's a good email cycle? Well, I'm going to dovetail a little bit on what Eric said. It depends on your sales cycle. It depends on your kind of business. Constant Contact suggests, if I have to give you an average, 1 email every 2 weeks. That'll give you enough time to come up with good, educational, engaging content. It'll give your customers a little room to breathe. The main thing we want to do is make sure we stay in front of them often enough that they don't forget us, because one danger in an email is sending less than once a month. When you send less than once a month, you give people the opportunity to forget you, to not be used to seeing you in an email. And the number one reason people mark an email as spam is because a legitimate business. The number one reason they mark a legitimate business as spam is because they've forgotten you. They freak out and they mark you as spam. So you want to send at least once a month, Cappy, generally about once every 2 weeks. But, we talk a little bit about it depends. I accept 3 emails a day from one small business. Every day. My stockbroker. It all depends on content. It depends on the sales cycle. Come to the class and we can talk about it. Have a great day, Cappy. Thank you. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the webinar. Do keep your eye open. We're going to be doing some more of these free engaging webinars with partners like SCORE. I do want to thank Eric. Thank you very much, Eric.
Thank you. It was great to be here.
And I want to thank our wonderful host here at the Hispanic Chamber of Palm Beach County.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And everybody out there, have a great Monday, and let's go make some good business. Take care, everybody.